All right, a very, very good evening to all you people out there, you kind of people, as I like to refer to you all as. It is the one, the man of knowledge, the, the exalted one of the 34th parallel of Freemasonry, as I like to call myself. I'm above the 33rd. I'm the 34th, so those people are like clowns, man. That fraternal order, that stupid thing. It's like, what do they do in there? Like, what goes on in this thing? These guys get together, and what do? They all blow each other or something? Like, what's going on? They hang around and they just talk. I, I I heard this one guy with a microphone one time, and he says, "Oh, we need to expand." Yeah, sounds very familiar. Yeah, I've heard that word before. I've heard that line. That line is very popular. It never ends well, by the way. Everybody that expands, they find out what happens is they're going to get they're going to get unexpanded. They're going to get driven back into their hole that they came from. You know, I always kind of had issues with that. I don't understand. Why can't people, the way societies function, why can't like we be just more selfish and to ourselves? If you go back and you listen to my previous episodes, I talked about what I think America would be better off doing. Um, I felt like Trump was trying to go in that direction, kind of set the stage by building a wall, like, but in a way, what I think the greatest thing of all would be to build the proverbial wall, like to just, hey man, let's just all like do everything here, fuck everybody else and everything else, and let's just make the country great instead of going out there and creating wars and creating conflicts right now. I think there's something that we're going, it's going to, in Taiwan or whatever. Yeah, like South China Seas, or I don't know, like, but the thing is, like, it's really, we call it in Yiddish a bish necharpa, bish necharpa, it's a crying shame, like, why, why do we do this? And it's like Eisenhower warned us of beware of the military industrial complex. And if you really think about that word beware, it's like more like be aware is what you need to be. And that's the shame that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. But unfortunately, um, if you're like me and you can see behind the curtain, you kind of know what we're doing here, and it sucks. It sucks. Like man, you know, you can't blame it on everybody that needs gas to drive their SUVs. It's not that. It's like it's a combination of greed meets like opportunity kind of thing, and it's something that think about this. What's the point of having military power? Now, again, I have tremendous respect for the people that serve in the armed services. It's very important to say that my dad was Army. I tried to get in the Air Force. Actually, I was offered. I turned it down because I wanted to dance instead. I didn't want to be regimented. But think about what the military does. It gives many youth a chance, to build a life, start a career, go to money for college and stuff. But let's go behind the curtain. Let's take a peek, and let's go deep. Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we can go. What's the purpose of the military? Well, it's a department of defense. We defend, right? We're supposed to defense, but isn't it really kind of more like a department of offense? We're it sound like we're really defending. We're really offending. You know, I know they keep talking about there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but it goes further than that. You know, and I'm not going to expand on 9/11 because I will do that really, but I will say this until 9/11, I'll do the whole show. But don't you think that kind of like we needed to create something in order to give a reason to point the finger at somebody and then to go to war? So what's all this training for? Like, why are we building up all this advanced technology, all this military? What's it for if you're not going to use it? You have to use it. You don't use it, you lose it. I know that's a cliche saying, but I want you to think about this. Think about how much money is allocated toward defense spending. What do you think? Why? Because we got to use that shit, man. And not just practicing drills and stuff. What do you practice for? You practice for the actual event to put into play. Oh, just God forbid something happens. No, 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 man. Okay? If you know your history, shit goes down and it's ordered from the top. We should never went into Vietnam. It don't matter. Don't matter what should have, shouldn't have done or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Decisions are made, whether you like it or not. And then when things get out of hand, then all of a sudden, then people go out and protest, and then all of a sudden, they say, okay, fine, we'll back down or whatever. You don't understand. Shit gets done whether you think so or not. You can't be bothered with that because you got to make a living. And you're going to get your information from the news. And what goes on at the top is whatever they want. But it's not really whatever, it's beyond that. Because what you think is what the people and our elected officials want, that's only like, that's in the visual, that's right in front of you. I told you there's layers of curtains that go back. And the further you go back, the more you start to understand that it really doesn't matter what you think you see. Decisions are made far, far, far beyond like a script. You see the movie, but you don't see the script. And you don't see the actors training and getting into character for the role. You don't see the lighting people. You don't see the special effects guys at everything, the editing process and everything. You see the finished product. Now understand what I mean by this. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I got my laundry in there, Might go to the gym again for a second amount of training for tonight. So anyway, you see the finished product on the screen, which is basically like saying, we're going to war. But you don't understand what it took for it to get there. Now, again, I'm not going to go deep into 9/11. I'm saving that for another couple of months. But you are sold a narrative, like a preview. That's all you're given. But don't you understand how you have to understand things are put together for a reason? And it's not as simple as you think. Okay? It's not the good guys versus the bad guys, not this versus that. That's in the movies. That's why those people, 9/11 Truth Movement, those people, that's why they're never getting anywhere. Because they're also like movie watchers. They're closer than you are. Some of those people are very open-minded. Like some of them can actually um, see behind. They're there. They're on the way. Some of those people. Some. The ones that most of them aren't. Most of them are just emotional, conspiracy theorists. Emotional, angry. They're not real people willing to learn, and they're not researchers, and they're not scientists. They won't look at things objectively because they're so emotionally tied to the event that it kind of like works against them. It's kind of like some of those dumb, like those hick kind of people who says, like hell yeah, voted for Bush, America, like that, but they don't. They really don't understand, you know, like what transpired for like those events to happen on that day, and that requires like some serious amount of intelligence, some serious amount of research, and a serious amount of open-mindedness, not tied to emotional responses, which most people have. Like, yeah, I'm proud to be American, of course, but it's very easy to allow the emotions tied to that, which will actually kind of work against you in order for you to see, go behind the veil of secrecy and begin to understand. It's actually not secret at all. It's like a puzzle. You have all the pieces. They give you all the pieces, but to be able to put it together requires some serious attention to detail. Most people just can't be bothered. It's 20 years behind us. There were the 19 Saudi Arabians. They flew the hijackers and they flew it into the plane and yeah, they flew whatever. This happened and that happened. And no, 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 wrong. I'm not even gonna get. I'm gonna give you like this much. I'll remember a couple months. You're gonna hear everything. And most of you people, you can't. A few good men can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth because everything changes. You're not going to be able to understand other countries' connections and their involvement because you're being sold something that tells you the good guys versus the bad guys when it's not. It's not at all. You know, I think most people read like what is it, one book every 3 years or something, the average. How do you learn anything? You don't. You watch TV, watch the news. You're actually not learning anything. You're being told something. That's not learning. Remember I told you about the three levels of people? There's the people who talk about other people, like my friend that's a sub. Then there's the people that talk about current events, what's going on in the world. That's your average sheep. And you have your top tier people. They're your creators, your innovators, your doers. And it's very important to understand what I just said, the first word, creators. Not everything that's created is a good thing. You think whoever created COVID is a good thing? You think whoever created COVID should be credited for their great invention? Who created events behind 9/11 should be credited for it? You think these things just happen? for no reason whatsoever. You don't think that the vaccines, the pressure being put on everybody should be vaccinated because of this Delta variant now. Did it ever occur to you there's a reason for all of this? You think this COVID thing just happened by accident? I told you, nothing's by accident. Do you know how many people work in intelligence in the US? We have all these branches, the NSA, FBI, who knows how many, right? And once this thing got unleashed in China, none of these people, not, or for what we know, none of them said, hey, well, we got to, went to like the heads of the government and say, hey, we can't allow this thing to come here. Meanwhile, there were some very powerful people that pulled all their money out of the stock market, ironically, before it all crashed. Remember when COVID thing hit here? It was the biggest one-day drop in the history of the stock market. But there were some very powerful people who pulled all their money out. Huh. Did you know that? Some people knew that. I knew that. It wasn't really broadcast to a lot of people because we don't want to show powerful people in a negative light. Got that from the remake in 2007, I think it was. Yeah, powerful people do not like to be shown making mistakes or doing things that would put them in a negative light, which is the same thing. Of course they knew. They're way ahead of you. They're way, way ahead of you, okay? Because you don't even believe things happen for a reason. It was allowed to come here. It was allowed to spread everywhere. Okay? When things are allowed to happen, they happen. Believe me, there's some very powerful people in intelligence. They know. They know exactly what's going on. Very powerful people. I heard one guy, was it Dan Pena, say, this COVID thing has been the best thing that ever happened to the top 1%. You need to listen to what I said very, very carefully. This guy is worth maybe $400 or $500 million. And he said that COVID was the absolute best thing that ever happened to the top 1%. Okay. So who gains? Who loses? Everybody down here. Who gains? Everybody up here. Who loses? Everybody down here. Now, I'm not saying he knows everything of everything, but I want you to think about what that means. Now, as time goes on, sometimes we can see how what's left behind, like how past events like have like infiltrated like the future. I mean, it's not the right word. I mean, I'm just trying to say it the best way I can. or affected the future. And then if we can go further enough into the future, then we can look at the past and we can try to figure out why it happened. Because it doesn't happen by fucking accident. Nothing happens by accident. Think about this, like, a history book that's written, it's all documentation of the past, correct? So if you go further enough into the future, you can see why that event happened. It's just, most people just don't go to understand this because their their heads are in the sand, or they're just going along like a sheep. That's what it is. Now, it's not my job to try to be Nostradamus here and prophesize about things. But, I'm not surprised by any of this. I am not surprised by any of this. You are. When COVID came out in 2019, it's like, okay. They were wearing masks in China for years. Not because of the thing. But they were experimenting with all that shit over there. SARS and this and that and whatever. All wearing masks. I told you they're bringing their shit here. One way or the other, they're coming here, okay? And I told you, I made this prediction, 2 months ago? If you go back and you listen to some of my live stuff, I said what's going to happen. They're going to bring their ideology here as well. Everything, okay? Yeah, it's called losing your freedom. Yes, get used to it. And you're going to have the social credit category. I guarantee you, no one has discussed that except me. Okay? So when they bring that here, you heard it here first from me. I'm the one that made the claim that they're going to have that in America within the next 5 to 10 years. There's no question in my mind. Mark my words. Mark my words. What I said about the social credit system. Yep. They're bringing it here. They're bringing all their shit here, just like they brought their fucking disease here. Okay. But it's not that they brought it here; it was allowed to come here. There's an importance. You have to begin to understand something. Just like 9/11 was allowed to happen. It was allowed to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now can be all misconstrued because now you can say to yourself, "Oh, okay, well, what do you mean? Does that means that the Bush administration was in on it or something?" Like that? I didn't say, you don't understand. I said allowed to happen. It's not that simple. You have to put together a puzzle. You have to decompartmentalize everything and then put it all together, everything that you know. And then you'll start to understand the big picture when you see it complete. It's not a one-liner, but it's broken down into like little pieces. And I'm not going to go through it all now because it's just way too much. But I'll do it in 2 months for you. I told you, COVID's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. There's a Delta virus, okay, whatever after that, it's not going anywhere. Okay? Just like after 9/11. There was an aftermath. The creation of the Department of Homeland Security and all this type of precautions and this and that now. Of course. That's what happens after an event. There's always something. Because that's what's supposed to happen. And there's long-term effects from it too. I told you what the grand plan of COVID was and why it was engineered and why it was allowed to, come here. You think these people are stupid? You don't think they get locked down? Nobody flies in, no one flies out, nobody leaves? You don't think the government they can do a total shutdown? Nobody comes in and out? That shit was allowed to come here, man. It was allowed to go everywhere. It's allowed to go everywhere. Okay, it was allowed to go everywhere. If you don't know this, man, boy, your head is in the fucking sand. And if you don't realize it, then you're just a sheep going around, which most of you people are, I'm very sorry to say. Called a closed-minded sheep. Sheep watch the news. Sheep don't think. You understand? They watch. It's a key word. I didn't say learn. I said watch. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. I'm going to show you the difference. Hold on. Here's the difference. Here's watching. And today there were like 3 people that, just watching. You're watching the news. You're not really absorbing. You're just watching. There's nothing to be taught, nothing to be learned or anything. Now, what's the difference between learning? I'm not going to go through this all now. 9/11. We'll do this, okay? We'll do it together. We're going to learn something here in this 900 pages called education. It's called learning. We're going to understand, like what it says on the cover, the lie that changed around the world, who really did it and why. We're going to learn something here. I wanted to write my thesis on that. I have so many theories, so many fucking things that I could write. My department won't allow it. Of course they won't allow it because they're fucking egghead retards. There's people in Ohio. I'm sorry, not all of them, but the people at my school. They won't allow me. I'll fucking get into it. I'll fucking put that puzzle together for you and put it as plain as fucking day for you. And it is plain as day. They took away everything. You can't, it's very difficult. But I remember, okay? There's enough photos, there's enough around. Believe there's so much. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know how long that on 9/11, how much work I'm gonna have to do. It's just one picture, the picture of the FBI agent walking off with a fucking part of a fucking American Airlines plane on the Pentagon lawn, walking away with evidence. Where the fuck are you going? Where are you taking that? What is it? Who told you to walk off with that? Where are you going? There are more lies than you can possibly imagine. And in 2 months, I'll put it all together for you. I gave you like this much. There's this much. It's just it's a very see. I get kind of it's not really emotional. But it's like passion, because people don't understand. I mean, everybody knows about the Holocaust, right? But that was like an expedited of like thing that happened. The Jews were living in Eastern Europe, and all of a sudden, the birth of this regime. This guy, this retard, he rose to extreme power. I would say Palpatine, but no, it's like a real person. Hitler was a real fucking person. This thing really happened in the 30s, mid 30s. It got out of fucking hand. This guy, became a fucking dictator. The creation of the SS, the Nazis, the stormtroopers, and imposing these ridiculous laws. And all of a sudden, it started to separate people. And all of a sudden, my people, the Jews, became targets. We were taken away from our homes, sent to concentration camps, executed, gassed. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like something like you wouldn't believe, something in a movie, some ridiculous thing, but it really happened. In the Jewish people, we say never again, never forget, never again. Now, I'm not saying America's turning into that again, but it's important to understand when your freedom is being eroded. Nobody ever saw anything like the Third Reich that came in, because it was unique for its time. Nobody saw it, and it was over. It was supposed to be a 1,000-year empire, and it was over. The U.S., the Allied powers declared war, on Nazi Germany, and we went there, and in a year it was over. But when I see things happening here that make me question, like, what's going on? Do you ever think like that? Do you ever think something doesn't smell right? Something's rotten in Denmark? Do you ever get that feeling that something is not right? I want you to think about that. Think about that. And it's not that simple. I'm going to go put my clothes in the dryer, and I want you to think about that. We're going to come back with part 2 of this.